We are only a few weeks away from the inaugural season of this version of the USFL, meaning it's time to start previewing these teams. This is one of my favorite series and something I love to do, whether it's going into college football or back when the XFL was launching. I just love previewing teams because any of us have a chance to win a title. In this video, I will be going over the Philadelphia Stars roster, their coaching staff, and what to expect from this team. Now, the first thing to talk about is their head coach, and I'm not talking about Paulie from The Sopranos. Sorry, that's a joke I've been wanting to make, because the first time I saw Bart Andrus, it's who I thought about. I don't know if you guys can see the resemblance. But Bart Andrus, the head coach of the Stars, and has experience doing a little bit of everything in the game of football. He has coached at the high school level, the FCS level, NAIA level, and the NFL and CFL levels. He coached under Jeff Fisher, helping the Titans make it to the Super Bowl, and won multiple Coach of the Year awards coaching in NFL Europe. He spent time in smaller leagues with the XFL's Team 9, and coached the past few seasons in the Spring League as well. His offensive coordinator is Marcel Bellafiore, who is a former coach of the Hamilton Wildcats of the CFL, coaching there from 2008 to 2011. He worked with Andrus when he was with the Omaha Knights and Ottawa GGs of the CFL. At defensive coordinator is Brad Miller, who grew up in Los Angeles and played college football at Oregon State. He has coached in the NFL and CFL from 1996 to 2014 and has 5 years of experience at the NFL level as an assistant and 11 years of experience at the CFL level as an assistant. Now, let's move over to talk about the offense. The expected starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Stars is Bryan Scott, whose nickname back in college was the Aaron Rodgers of Division III. He experienced a late growth spurt, so he went under-recruited out of college. He was a diamond in the rough, recruited to Occidental College, where he'd go on to earn the nickname, like I said, the Aaron Rodgers of Division III. He went undrafted during the 2017 NFL Draft, but was invited to a Rams tryout where he impressed and held his own against players who were considered better than him. When he wasn't given the roster spot that he felt he deserved, he considered stepping away from football, but then the Spring League came calling, where he teamed up with Bart Andrus and beat out Zach Mettenberger for the starting spot of the Generals. During this time, he developed a strong relationship with Andrus and would be drafted multiple times by him. He returned to the Spring League once again and outperformed everyone, throwing for 1,125 yards, 13 touchdowns and 1 interception, completing nearly 70% of his passes, leading the Generals to a 4-0 record and to the Spring League championship game. He was named the MVP of the league for the second time and waited for an NFL team to come calling. Case Cookus was the second quarterback taken by the Stars, and played college football at Northern Arizona, where he battled injuries but was an impressive player, throwing for 35 touchdowns and 5 interceptions as a freshman. He was described by one coach as the top FCS quarterback prospect since Jimmy Garoppolo. He spent the entire 2020 and 2021 offseasons on NFL rosters, but was never signed to the practice squad or active roster. He played behind Ryan Mallett in the Spring League, where he met Andrus and spent time with the Edmonton Elks of the CFL. At running back, Darnell Holland played college football at Kennesaw State, where he rushed for 949 yards as a senior, averaging 11.86 yards per carry. He played in a triple option offense at Kennesaw State and spent time with the XFL's practice squad Team 9 in the Spring League, playing for the Generals, where he played for Andrus both times. Matt Colburn played college football at Wake Forest, where he rushed for 2,550 yards and 15 touchdowns in 47 career games. He has spent time with the Los Angeles Rams, New York Guardians of the XFL, and Blues of the Spring League, but doesn't really have any special traits and is not overly strong or quick. Paul Terry played college football at Eastern New Mexico, where he set the school record for rushing yards in a season with 1,888 rushing yards. It was a first-team All-Division II player. He has not spent time on an NFL, XFL, or CFL roster, coming from a smaller school, and played for Bart Andrus and the Generals of the Spring League for 2020 and 2021. At wide receiver, Devin Gray was the first wide receiver taken by the Philadelphia Stars. He started his collegiate career at Sierra College, a JUCO in Rockland, California. Then he decided to transfer to Cincinnati, where he hauled in a team-high 58 receptions for 860 yards and 5 touchdowns his junior year, and 28 receptions for 444 yards and 3 touchdowns his senior year. He jumped back and forth between the Atlanta Falcons practice squad and the active roster, and also spent time with the Generals of the Spring League and the Baltimore Ravens. Jordan Sewell attended Southern Oregon, an NAIA school, where he became known as a deep threat, accumulating 112 receptions for 2,184 yards and 27 touchdowns. He went undrafted during the 2020 NFL Draft and spent time with the Spring League, playing with Bryan Scott and Bart Andrus with the Generals. Brennan Eagles played college football at Texas, finishing with 61 receptions for 1,026 yards and 10 touchdowns in 22 games with the Longhorns. He decided to forego his senior year and enter the NFL draft, going undrafted and spending time with the Dallas Cowboys. DeAndre Overton played college football at Clemson, finishing his career with 52 receptions for 777 yards and 7 touchdowns, playing in 51 games and making 5 career starts. He was part of a national championship winning team but was overshadowed by Mike Williams, Hunter Renfrow, Amari Rodgers, and T. Higgins in the wide receiver room. He has since spent time in the Canadian Football League and European League of Football. Maurice Alexander started his college career playing quarterback for FIU before converting to wide receiver. He was a dangerous return man, but an ankle injury during his senior year complicated his NFL future. Chris Rowland was taken by the Stars during the supplemental draft, playing college football at Tennessee State. While in college, he broke Jerry Rice's HBCU record for receptions in a season, but due to his lack of size, he is viewed more as a gadget player. He has spent time with the Atlanta Falcons and Tennessee Titans practice squad. At tight end, Bug Howard played college football at North Carolina, where he accumulated over 146 receptions for 2,048 yards and 18 touchdowns, but was viewed as too slow to play wide receiver in the NFL. He converted to the tight end position in the AAF and has spent time with the Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos, and Jacksonville Jaguars before joining the Spring League with the Alphas during the 2020 season. Artavius Lynn played college football at TCU, but only accumulated 22 career receptions. He impressed during his pro day running a 4.740, despite standing at 6'5" and weighing 254 pounds. He spent time with the Cowboys during training camp in 2021. When it comes to the offensive line, Blake Camper was the first offensive lineman taken by the Stars and played collegiately at South Carolina. He played for Bart Andrus and the Generals in 2020 and 2021. Michael Rodriguez III is projected to be the starting left tackle for the Stars and played college football at Louisiana Tech, where he earned conference accolades but never signed with an NFL team, was not heavily scouted even though he played in 41 games in college. He spent time in the CFL in the Alphas of the Spring League. Jake Burton played college football at Baylor and UCLA and spent time with the New York Giants practice squad in 2021. Sean Brown played center at Mississippi Valley State and primarily played in the Indoor Football League from 2017 to 2019 with the Colorado Crush, Cedar Rapids Titans, Salt Lake Stallions, Nebraska Danger, and Philadelphia Soul. He has also spent time with XFL Team 9, the Los Angeles Wildcats, and the Spring League with the Generals. Jackson Scott Brown played college football at Northern Iowa, where he was a 3-year starter and has played in the Spring League for the Conquerors. Paul Noseworthy was a 2-year starter at left guard for Buffalo and played for the Generals of the Spring League during the 2021 season. Gunnar Vogel played at Northwestern and has spent time with the Bears and Bengals but struggled greatly in pass protection during the preseason. Lene Maiava is from Arizona and was drafted during the 3rd round of the supplemental draft. He has spent time in the AAF and XFL along with a few other teams, but is one of the oldest players on the roster at 28. Jahir Jones played college football at Miami with the athletic profile of an NFL guard, but needed time to develop. He spent the 2021 season with the Arizona Rattlers of the Indian Football League. And that is the Philadelphia Stars offense. Now let's take a look at their defense. At defensive end, Freedom Akim Moladin was the first defensive end taken by the Stars and played college football at Nebraska, making over 30 starts. He has spent time with the New York Giants, Cincinnati Bengals, and New York Jets, playing in 5 games the past 3 seasons. Gus Cumberland stands at 6'7" and weighs 256 pounds, coming out of Oregon, where he racked up 4 sacks in 147 games. He missed the last 9 games of his senior year with a knee injury and has no pro experience. Carroll Phillips played college football at Illinois and has played in 11 NFL games, mainly on special teams, but recorded 2 sacks in a preseason game with the Colts. He has spent time with the Jaguars, Colts, Washington Football Team, Atlanta Falcons, and Generals of the Spring League, where he met Bart Andrus. Adam Rodriguez is a defensive end fullback combo, being named a 2-time SCS All-American at Weber State and had 10.5 sacks as a senior in 2019. He played with the Blues in the Spring League in 2021 and was taken in the 2nd round of the supplemental draft. When it comes to the defensive tackle position, Mike Barnett was the first defensive tackle taken by the Stars and played football at Georgia. He has spent the last 2 off-seasons in camp with the Patriots and Lions, but spent all of the 2020 season on New England's IR. Chris Nelson started 29 games for the Texas Longhorns and finished his career with 109 tackles. He spent a short time with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019 and has played for Bart Andrus and the Generals in 2020 and the Edmonton Elks of the CFL in 2021. Jerome Johnson was named a first-team All-Big Ten in 2020 at Indiana and spent the 2021 training camp with the Miami Dolphins. At the linebacker position, Josh Banderas played at Nebraska and during his senior year had 93 tackles and 7 tackles for a loss. He has dealt with injuries throughout his career, which kept him out of the NFL and did not look too impressive in the AAF with the Salt Lake Stallions. He played for Andrews in 2021 on the Generals. Jordan Moore started his collegiate career at TCU, where he competed in hurdles and played running back but transferred to UTSA, where he played safety. He has spent time with the Atlanta Falcons, Denver Broncos, Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL, and Generals of the Spring League, where he played for Andrews. He is a great athlete who could make plays at the linebacker position. Tavon Coney racked up over 100 tackles, 20 tackles for a loss, and 7 sacks during his final 2 years at Notre Dame. He has spent time with the Oakland Raiders, but struggled in pass coverage, which hurt his NFL chances. Solomon Wise played defensive back at Alcorn State, but played linebacker and served as an edge rusher at UTSA. Wise is actually draft eligible this year, playing in the 2021 college football season. Gabriel Sewell Jr. was a 3-year starter at Nevada and is the brother of NFL tackle and former first-round pick Penei Sewell. He went undrafted during the 2021 NFL Draft and was taken by the Stars in the 7th round of the supplemental draft. Channing Stribling finished 4th in school history when it came to pass breakups at Michigan, but his 40 time limited his NFL potential. He has spent time with 4 NFL teams, the Memphis Express of the AAF, Hamilton Tiger Cats in 2019 and 2021, Seattle Dragons of the XFL, and Generals of the Spring League playing for Andrews. Marcus Lewis played college football at Maryland, recording 2 interceptions in 2019. He has great speed and is not afraid to get physical. He has spent time with the Ottawa Red Blacks of the CFL in 2021, but was not retained after the season after struggling on the field. Mozzie Wilkins played college football at South Florida, but did not test well coming out of college. He has played 12 career NFL snaps, spending time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Alphas of the Spring League, Arizona Cardinals, and Baltimore Ravens. Bradley Sylvie served mainly as a backup and special teams player for Alabama and has played for the New Orleans Saints, Birmingham Stallions of the AAF, as well as the DC Defenders and Los Angeles Wildcats of the XFL. At age 29, he's one of the older players in the league. Amani Dennis was taken in the 4th round of the supplemental draft and played college football at Carthage College. He spent time with the Cleveland Browns in 2019 during the offseason and spent the 2020 and 2021 season playing for Andrews in the Spring League for the Generals. At safety, Jack Tacho played college football at NC State and was taken by the Minnesota Vikings during the 7th round of the 2017 NFL Draft. He converted to corner to safety when getting to the NFL and struggled. Along with the Vikings, he has played for the Washington Football Team, Birmingham Iron of the AAF, and Los Angeles Wildcats of the XFL. Cody Brown had 6 interceptions, 128 tackles, and 18 pass breakups in 2 years at Arkansas State, but didn't measure and time well during his pro day back in 2017. He has spent time in the AAF with the Salt Lake Stallions and XFL with the Houston Roughnecks. Ladarius Wiley played college football at Vanderbilt and has had multiple opportunities with NFL teams, but has been unable to stick on a roster. He impressed in the XFL playing for the Los Angeles Wildcats, even earning an NFL contract, but did not amount to anything. Ahmad Dixon was taken in the 8th round of the supplemental draft. The former Army All-American was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in the 7th round of the 2014 NFL Draft, but dealt with off-the-field issues during the early part of his career. He has spent time with 4 NFL teams, the Edmonton Eskimos of the CFL, the Spring League in 2018, the Los Angeles Wildcats of the XFL, and the Massachusetts Pirates. This could be his last chance to make it back to the NFL. And then my favorite guys on an NFL roster, the special teams players. Matt Mangle played punter at UCLA and has nailed a 55-yard field goal in the 2020 Spring League Championship game. He has spent time with the Spring League from 2018 and 2020, playing for the Conquerors and Generals, and spent time with the Montreal Alouettes practice squad in 2021. He'll probably serve as the Stars kicker as well as the punter. Ryan Navarro played long snapper at Oregon State and has spent time in the AAF with the Memphis Express and the XFL with the Los Angeles Wildcats. And that is your Philadelphia Stars opening roster for the 2022 inaugural season of the USFL. Who are you most excited to watch in the Stars uniform? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, how do you think the Philadelphia Stars will do this season? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more USFL and college football content right here. Also, maybe check out my Michigan Panthers preview right here as well. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.